So if you spent any amount of time researching carry pistols, you probably landed on a 43X or a Glock 19. Both are great options, both have their pros and cons, and hopefully today we can go over all the information to help you pick a better carry pistol. If you guys like what we produce, go ahead and hit the bell by the subscribe button. It'll let you guys know when we produce more content. First things first is we are running a Gen 5 43X MOS. The reason the MOS is probably the better option for you is because you actually get a light rail. On the standard 43X, you do not. The reason we went with the 43X over the 43 is you get a longer grip. And with these shield mags, you can actually match the 15 round capacity of a 19. And that's why I think it actually makes it into a pretty good carry option. One of the biggest things to take into consideration when you're looking at a carry pistol is size and weight. The slide length of the 43 is gonna be a whole inch shorter than the Glock 19, which is gonna make it that much easier to put a compensator on it or to just carry the handgun. But I think the more important factor is gonna be the width here. For it only being 1/8 of an inch slimmer, this gun feels way different. It feels a lot smaller in the hand. It feels almost like a toy. When you pick up a Glock 19, it feels like a giant 2x4. And then you pick up a 43X, kind of feels like an airsoft gun. It's very thin, it's very small. The width is gonna be really important if you're somebody that likes to wear athletic attire. Either if you wear joggers, t-shirts, gym shorts. With a heavier, thicker Glock 19, it's going to print more and ultimately make it that much harder to carry. If you don't know, printing is when your firearm prints through your shirt or shows through your shirt. So you'll see the outline of the handgun printing through the t-shirt. That's all that means. When it comes to weight between these two guns, the Glock 43X is gonna come in at a 1 pound, 6 ounces, fully built out, optic, compensator, light, shield arms, steel magazine. And then the Glock 19 MOS is gonna come in at 1 pound, 13.8 ounces, again, optic, compensator light, threaded barrel, magazine. Both of these guns are unloaded and the 43X still comes in 7.8 ounces lighter. And it's not the most noticeable thing in the world. When you pick up both these guns, what I think you're going to notice is the size more than the weight. Yes, this gun's gonna feel a little bit heavier, but not by much. And especially if you take off this Streamlight TLR1, it's gonna feel that much closer in weight, but that kind of defeats the purpose of the bigger gun, which we'll get into later. One thing to note about weight is if you run the standard 10 round mag, the whole build is gonna be a lot lighter than a 15 round Glock 19. However, we think everybody should run these Shield Arms mags. As of right now, Shield is like the only company making these 15 round mags for the 43X. And I think 15 rounds is that sweet spot where I think most carry guns should be. If you are serious about getting the Shield Arms mags, definitely replace your mag release because it will get chewed up. Steel mags and a plastic mag release is not a great combo. The two holsters for the 43X and the 19 are a great illustration on just how different these guns carry. You can see the 43X holster is significantly shorter and not nearly as wide as the Glock 19. A lot of that has to do with the light. However, it still shows you how different these guns are gonna carry and how much smaller the 43X will actually feel when you carry it. So getting into the aftermarket side of these two handguns, the 43X is gonna be much smaller, so you're gonna have smaller attachments. Here we have a smaller Holosun 407K and a Streamlight TLR7 sub. Both of these are smaller optics and lights. There are definitely gonna be pros and cons with that. You're not gonna be able to run a larger optic on this slide. You're also not gonna be able to run a larger light on this slide. So you're limited to the small window size and the small lumen output of a smaller handgun. Whereas if you got the Glock 19, you can really put any size weapon light on here. You could put the TLR7 sub, you can put a Surefire X300, a Streamlight TLR1, all the different lights. So it's gonna offer you more versatility with your setup. And up top, we're running a Holosun 508T, which is gonna have a bigger window. It's gonna have solar charging, which is really nice. And you can run even bigger optics like the Trijicon SRO. So the sky's kind of limit on bigger attachments for this gun with bigger windows, bigger outputs, which is really great if you're a bigger guy. You can kind of put bigger attachments on there and get away with still concealing the handgun. But if you're a smaller frame guy or a female, you're just gonna have a hard time carrying that big of a handgun. So that's definitely something to keep in mind is there are limitations on the attachments you can put on the 43, whereas the 19 is kind of unlimited. While the size of the 43X is really nice, it has its downsides with ergonomics. Not only is it not as comfortable as the 19, but you're also gonna have some issues with reloads. If you think about this frame, it's kind of like a 1911. It's very thin, it's very small. I don't know if you've ever tried to perform a reload on a single stack 1911. It's just gonna be more difficult than a double stack striker fired handgun or a larger 2011. Ultimately, if you have a smaller target, you have a higher chance of missing. That's kind of just how it goes with the 43X. Other than a little bit more difficulty to perform a reload, I don't see too many downsizes with this frame. It's gonna have a little bit less aggressive grip texture than the 19. You're gonna feel a little more cramped. And ultimately, when we get our mag wand here, I think I might like it more. It's really gonna suck your hand up into the gun. When you grab this gun and you present it, it feels like you're holding a baby 2x4. It's very similar to the Glock 19. that feels like a very thick 2x4. This one's just a little smaller, a little bit sharper, so the ergonomics are not great. There's not too many hot spots on the beaver tail. The grip texture is not perfect. For me personally, I like the feeling of the Glock 19 a little bit more. The larger grip feels a little bit better on my hand. It has less hot spots, whereas the 43X, I can feel each corner of this frame. For a female, this might not be a big deal. It actually may be better. Since their hands are probably gonna be a little smaller, this might be perfect for them. I think the length is actually perfect, but the overall circumference of the frame just feels a little small. And naturally, with a smaller framed gun, you're gonna have more recoil. Everyone shot a small little snappy 365 or a 43. This gun definitely has some snap to it. The compensator helps a lot. I don't recommend everybody get a compensator right from the beginning. I think everyone should shoot the gun, get used to the recoil, get better at managing recoil, and then they can throw a compensator on. It's gonna really make them take their shooting to the next level. And ultimately, this gun is still gonna be snappier comped than a stock 19 non-comped. When you look at a stock Glock 19 or a comped Glock 19, you just have a larger frame to hold on to, you have a little bit more weight, and it's just gonna shoot a little bit flatter than a 43X. I will say, throwing one of our compensators on a Glock 19 makes a really big difference. The gun handles completely different. Not only do you have less recoil in your hand, but you have less muzzle flip, which is just gonna allow you to shoot faster and get your dot back on target faster. So if you're looking at costs for both of these guns, all the attachments are gonna be similarly cost. The guns are almost identical. I think the 19 MOS costs $20 more. So there's not gonna be a huge difference in any attachment, any holster, any gun. So when you're comparing the 43X to the 19, really all you have to take into consideration is recoil and size. Are you willing to decrease your comfortability to shoot faster or be a better shot? Ultimately, I can run drills a lot faster and shoot faster with this 19 over the 43X. If I was in a life or death situation, I feel like I would be more inclined to be less comfortable and carry a bigger gun and be a faster, better shooter. If I'm protecting my family, I'm more than okay with being a little bit more uncomfortable and being a better shot. However, if the bigger size of the 19 will stop you from carrying, even if it's 5% of the time, I still think the 43 is going to be a great option for you. Not only will you be more inclined to carry this gun because it's smaller and lighter, if you get caught needing your gun, you'll actually have your 43, where you might have left your 19 at home because it was too heavy and uncomfortable. Even though I'm a second faster with this gun, having the 43 is ultimately going to be more important than having nothing. So at the end of the day, both guns are great options. Both guns are very reliable. Both guns will get the job done. It comes down to what your preferences are and what your body style is. What are you actually going to carry every single day? Drop a comment down below. I'm really curious. Are you guys gonna choose the 43X or the Glock 19? If you guys like this video, we'd appreciate a like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.